Welcome back to the Cutaway scene where the conversation stays uncut, unfiltered, and transparent. Listen, this week we are talking about image, okay? And whether people admit it or not, a lot of things today revolve around how things look, okay? How you come off, okay? How people perceive you, what your name carries in a room. But the real question is, how much of that is real and how much of that is just an image? Because sometimes those two don't match. Let's get into it. So earlier this week, we had asked y'all, be honest, which one matters more today? Is it reputation or is it being real? Now, I'm not gonna lie, this one right here, with 100% saying being real, it says a lot, okay? Because most people stand on being real. Like, I'm me regardless, okay? And then there's others, I feel they're more aware of how they are perceived, okay? How things look, how their name carries, okay? And I'm not gonna act like one is completely right or wrong. But in real life, I feel like people move with both, okay? But here's where it gets interesting. See, a lot of people would say they value being real, right? But the way they move shows they care more about not looking wrong, not looking out of place, not messing up their image, okay? And I feel like that is when you start noticing some people aren't being fake. They're just being careful. And that just brings up another question. At what point does being careful starts turning into not being real at all? Let's get into some hot takes. So this week hot take question was, when's the time being real didn't work in your favor? And I like this one because it's real life, okay? Everyone has a moment where they were being themselves, right? And it didn't land the way they thought it would. And it's like maybe you spoke up, yeah, and it got taken the wrong way. Or maybe you were being honest and it cost you something. Maybe you stayed true to yourself and it kind of just made you stand out in a way you didn't expect. And that's the part people don't talk about. Being real doesn't always get rewarded, okay? Now, somebody said sometimes being real just makes things harder. Now, listen, I feel that because being real can come with consequences, all right? It could change how people see you, all right? It can shift your image. It can cost you opportunities depending on the situation. And personally, my hot take on that is that I feel a lot of people don't stop being real because it's wrong. They stop because it's uncomfortable. Because the moment it starts affecting how people view you, now you got to decide, do I stay me or do I just adjust to protect how I'm seen? Let's get into some hypothetical, okay? Now, scenario one, you're in a space where you can tell people are moving a certain way, okay? There's a certain vibe, certain opinion, certain expectations, okay? And you don't really agree with it. But you also know if you speak how you actually feel, it might change how people see you. So now you're just sitting there like, do I say what I really think or do I just let it ride? My hot take on that is that I feel like moments like that shows you where you stand with self, okay? Because sometimes staying quiet does protect the image, right? But it doesn't sit right with you. I always say to stay true to yourself, okay? Because you would never want to be in a situation where you let all this time pass, okay? And you're just like, you're stuck with that what if moment, okay? It is easier said than done, yes, but sometimes the best thing to do is to create your own way. Start your own thing, because as you can see, people follow, okay? I feel like some people just follow the masses so they won't feel like they are incorrect, or I feel like they're afraid of being told that, hey, that wasn't a smart move for you to do, okay? And it's like, there's others that feel like, I don't know, I feel like some people like to see others do it first. It's one of those, they want to see the guinea pig. They want to see if you fail first, okay, then I won't do that then. You know, some people, hey, that's for another story, right? All right, let's get into scenario 2. All right, you're known for being a certain type of person, okay? People expect you to move a certain way, talk a certain way, be a certain version of yourself, okay? But over time, you change, okay? Happens, right? Your mindset shifts, your perspective grows, okay? But now you feel like if you move different, people might look at you different. So now you're stuck between growing or maintaining the image people are used to. Now, my hot take on that is that I feel like growth will always make some people uncomfortable, okay? Because they are so attached to the version of you that you might not even be anymore, okay? And that's okay, all right? We aren't meant to stay the same, and I feel like I can't sweat that enough, all right? It's like, that is how you know who is really on your side. And I say this all the time. The ones that don't feel affected by your growth or you changing, those are the ones that's like your people, your folks, because it won't take from them. Okay? You setting healthy boundaries. I said this in one of the episodes before. If you set healthy boundaries and the people around you is okay with it, like they're not bothered, then that means they're not really taking anything out of you that's in a bad way. It means they are really genuine people. It only affects the people that wanted to take from you, or they have ill will. Like you basically took a source from them. Okay, so they feel like, hey, why are you taking my source? Why are you taking this from me? Okay, so I think, one thing I have realized is this. An image can take you far, all right? But it can also box you in. Because once people get used to seeing you a certain way, there's almost this unspoken expectation to stay that way. Like they're used to what you gave them, right? And once you switch up, it's like, whoa, hold on. Whoa, who are you? You're not the person I know. Bring them back. And it's like, the moment you don't, it catches people off guard. But at the same time, being real comes with its own weights, okay? Because now you're not just maintaining something. You're actually standing in who you are. Even if it's not always received the way you want, and that's not always easy. But I feel like at some point, everybody hits that moment where they have to decide, am I maintaining an image or am I actually being myself? So yeah, that was this week's episode conversation, the image, okay? Because perception will always matter to some extent, okay? But the real question is, how much of yourself are you willing to trade for it? Okay. Now make sure you follow the Cutaway scene on Instagram to stay part of the conversation and vote in the weekly polls. Okay. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. That is where the new episode premieres every Friday at 7 p.m. Okay. Anyways, that's a wrap, and this is the Cutaway scene. Bye.